Hello class! In this tutorial I am going to show you how to do a chi-square test using PhStat2. Yes, this can be done within Excel via syntax or the Excel data analysis tool pack, or even online through various calculators. But what I'm going to show you and what I'd like to see you do is use PhStat2 because it really gives a very robust amount of output and information for you to work with in literally like 2 clicks. So question 12.5 gives you a contingency table for gender and whether or not males or females enjoy shopping for clothing. To answer part A on whether or not there's a significant difference between the proportion of males and females who enjoy shopping for clothing, we simply just go to PhStat. We go to multi-sample tests. It's multi-sample because, well, there's 2. And we simply click on chi-square test, and we get this little dialog box. And we need to enter in our level of significance. For this problem, it's 0.01. We know it's got 2 rows, 2 columns. We can give it a title, something like gender and shopping enjoyment, and then click OK. Now what happens here, it basically gives you a worksheet for you to complete, and all you need to do is type in the numbers from the contingency table. And just so I don't totally give it away, I'm just going to type in some numbers that are different. So here, and I'll label this in a second. So this is our contingency table here, and what's neat about this output is we know that this is going to represent the question whether or not do you enjoy shopping, and we know from the table that we can make this yes, we can make this no. We know that this top column was gender, this was males, these were females, and we're done. So what you can see here, what it did is it also completed the bottom part of the table, which is our expected frequencies. So we just typed in our numbers here for our contingency tables here. It ran the totals for us. We put in our labels, it put in our labels here, and it ran our expected frequencies. And then it did all the calculations for us. So what you need to know too is if you move this little yellow box, it gives us the intermediate calculations here as well. Long end of the story here, it's telling us to reject the null hypothesis. And it gives us 3 pieces of important information. We got our critical value, our chi-square calculated test statistic, and our p-value. Now our p-value says it's 4.94 e minus 13, and you should know by now that means that there's 13 decimal points there. So you can format that number, change it to anything greater than 13, and there's our p-value. Okay, so in terms of interpreting this, what you need to know is that you got to compare 2 values. You got to compare the critical value and the calculated chi-square test statistic. So if the calculated chi-square test statistic is greater than the critical value, you won't reject the null hypothesis. And vice versa, if it's less than, you would fail to reject it. So in this case, our calculated chi-square test statistic is greater than the critical value, so we reject the null hypothesis. So you can say that there's enough evidence to suggest that there is a significant difference between the proportion of males and females who enjoy shopping for clothing at a significance level of 0.01. And that's pretty much it. For C, you just need to change the data and go through this all again. Do the comparisons of the critical value and the chi-square calculated test statistic, and look at the p-value as well. And you can ignore D because we didn't do 10.29. So that's it.